Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds. If you'd like to join the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays where I go live on YouTube, or outside of YouTube, you can consider joining the Facebook group or the Discord that I've created. There is a link to those down in the description below. Also down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. That is a great place for you guys to check out the different meals and recipes that I've been enjoying as I've been working towards my weight loss goals. Today is day 1056 of my challenge so far. Through a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, I have been able to lose 270 pounds. If you have any non-scale victories you'd like to share, I'd love to hear those. If you have any on-scale victories, I love hearing those as well. If you are succeeding with your diet, let us know what you're doing to succeed. If you've been struggling with the diet, let us know what's causing your struggles. Maybe there's something that we can help you out with. And at the end of the day, what are some things that you are doing or that you can do that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Let's go ahead, switch over here to the main screen. Hello. Hope everybody had a wonderful couple days here. I think it was Tuesday was the last time I was live. Today's Thursday, so it's been a couple days. I had a meeting last night that I had to attend, so I was not able to go live. Couple people checking in. Hey, Cindy and Ann. Hope everybody's doing great, or hope you guys are doing great. Yes, tennis and yoga girl. Hello, how are you? So yeah, had a meeting last night, and it was just a quick meeting that comes up every month here, but things are going well. I have been dealing with kind of being a little bit sick. That I've been feeling better, but today my nose has been stuffed up and my head's been stuffed up a little bit. Let me see if I can fix my focus here. It seems to help. Okay. Yeah, just been dealing with this kind of head cold that we've been kind of having go through our house here for the past week. So I still feel a little bit stuffed up. I mentioned on Tuesday my left ear is plugged up, and it still is. Somebody had suggested getting some peroxide and putting it in there. I have not done that yet, but I don't know. It's annoying because if somebody's talking to me from my left side, I really have a hard time hearing what they're saying, and feel like I'm constantly having to have people repeat what they're telling me because of this cold that I've been dealing with. So I think that it's going around. I know there's a lot of other people I've been talking to that have been dealing with sickness in the house as well. So and then I got a cough on top of that. And so but everything's been going pretty well aside from the cold that I've been dealing with. My kids were out of school, or one of my kids was out of school for a couple days this week, and another kid had missed one day just because of the everybody feeling sick. And last week Carrie was really going through it. She had it probably the worst of all of us at the end of last week. So just been trying to survive the seasonal change and all the sickness that's going around. So let me see here. I wanted to pull up some photos here. I was going to talk a little bit. I had, I haven't pulled this up in a while, so I don't know how well it's going to work, but it should be working fine. Just check this. Oh, shoot, it's on the wrong. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna, oh, perfect. Try this again. All right. So, something I wanted to talk about today was getting started and not putting off getting started. It's something that I say at the end of all of my live streams, and I'll say it at the end of this live stream, I'm sure, is that you need to get started right now. Stop putting it off. Stop putting the burden of losing weight off onto a future version of yourself. I think that it's something that many of us do, and we do it at our own detriment because we keep saying, Monday's the day, or I'll start after this event happens. And then that event happens, Monday comes along, and you don't get started. You push it off onto that future version of yourself again. So you just keep pushing it off down the line, expecting that this future version of yourself will start doing it, but then that future version of yourself never shows up, and you end up being stuck in this cycle where you just keep putting it off and you keep procrastinating your health. You procrastinate fixing the problems that you're dealing with. And today let's see, Karen here says, don't push it off to the future version of yourself. Very wise. Yeah, it's something I did for so long. And today I kind of had a reminder of that. And I gotta move my mic here. I don't know if it's gonna cause a lot of noise on your guys' end or not. But something that I've done it for years and years and years. And even now I feel like I still do some of that. I push it off, push off doing things to handle them down the line. And if you don't start being proactive and start doing things, it's never going to happen. You have to get started. You have to do it, because you'll just keep delaying it. You found some excuse not to get started. You're going to continue to use that excuse to keep yourself from getting started. And I had gone back and I looked at kind of my first video, or my first videos that I did. I had a little bit different setup. I was kind of in my very first video, the camera is just me kind of down in the corner, and I have an image in the background. And the image that's in the background, I'm actually going to pull up here, is this is a photo of me from 9 years ago. And the reason why I know it's 9 years ago, or about 9 years ago, was because this popped up on my Facebook feed today. As this was something I posted. This was a photo I had posted on Facebook from 9 years ago. And the significance of this photo is that this is the lightest that I had ever been as an adult up until this current challenge. I'm now lighter now than I was in this photo, but at the time I was probably 285, 290 pounds in this photo. And this was kind of my, how you have like a goal outfit or a goal shirt. Well, this is my goal, to look like this again, or to be this thin again. And so I had that as my background picture, kind of as an inspiration to myself to get back to that point that I was at. This photo is from 9 years ago, like I said, but I had been prior to this, I think I was 415 pounds. I went to see a doctor. I got prescribed an appetite suppressant that I took for about 9 months. And during that 9 month period, I lost over 100 pounds, getting me down to about 285 pounds. And I really felt like I had it figured out, and I had conquered my obesity at that time. What I didn't understand at the time is that the appetite suppressant that I was taking was really what was doing all the work. And as soon as I wasn't able to take that appetite suppressant anymore, my old diet habits came back and I started to gain weight. But this photo is from a series of photos that I'm going to show you some of the other photos. But essentially, this was a trip that I rewarded myself with because I had lost I had lost a bunch of weight. And it was kind of a once in a lifetime kind of trip. At the time, I was very involved with my local ATV club, and they did lots of trips around the area and some trips to different destinations throughout the United States. And this was from a trip that I had done where I went out to Utah, and I went on a four-wheeling trip. This was a picture here of my four-wheeler. It was a 5-day four-wheeling. I don't even know what to call it. It was a four-wheeling kind of trek. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right word here. But hey, the Shrinking Shadow's checking in. Hello, Shrinking Shadow. Hope you're doing great today. But it was a 5-day. It was called the Mountain Man Challenge. So we left from the fairgrounds in Richfield, Utah, and we traveled out into the mountains and spent 5 days out in the mountains. I think it was 4 nights camping, probably 5 days of riding our four-wheeler. We had to haul all of our gear with us on the four-wheeler and kind of rough it for a few days. And the trip was absolutely amazing. It was such a fun experience. I got to go and I got to see some amazing scenery. This is stuff that at, my previous weight at the time, 400 plus pounds, I never would have been able to go and do. And then, especially, more recently here when I got up over 500 pounds, it was something that I wouldn't have been able to do. And it's a trip that I've always wanted to go and do again, but my weight has kept me from feeling like I could do it or at least succeed with doing it. And so when this popped up on my feed today, it kind of reminded me of that time, but it made me think of the I guess at this point 7 years between this trip and when I started the challenge, and how much I let my food habits affect, the things I could do. This is something that I would have loved to have done this every year or every few years. But once I got back up to 400 pounds again, it was something that I wasn't in a position to do. And then also we have a bunch of kids now, so I'm not quite in the same position to do that because of that as well. But I just, when I think about the time after this, because during this ride, I think it is after I had quit taking the appetite suppressant, but I hadn't really gained a bunch of weight back yet. It was kind of it was shortly before this that I wasn't able to take the appetite suppressant anymore. And it was fun to go out and do this. Um, but it's so frustrating because uh, I let all that progress that I made slip away. And by letting that progress slip away, it mentally just crushed me for so many years. And it was it was such a heartbreaking experience that I'm sure that everybody who's lost weight and kind of gained it back goes through that kind of same emotion of just beating yourself up. And really, it was uh, something that I've watched a video or I've seen some things that Dr. Doug Lisle talks about with the ego trap, and where you feel like if you can't be perfect, then you just flip the chessboard over and just say, well, then I'm not even going to try, or I'm not even going to give an appearance that I'm even trying, because if I look like I'm trying and I fail, then I it wasn't worth trying. So if I don't even try and fail, then who even knows, you know? And this old man Tiger here says depression. Yeah, I definitely went into a depressive state and didn't want to face the challenges of losing weight again. And what I think a big thing that I realize now too is that it was the way in which I was losing the weight, that, or trying to lose the weight, that was an issue. And the mentality I had about eating in moderation or eating less food to lose weight. And it's such a difficult way to lose weight, because if eating in moderation worked, then we would be surrounded by skinny people. But eating in moderation doesn't work for some people. It doesn't work for me. I don't think it works for a lot of people. And so when I went through this period where I saw the weight loss, I saw the weight go down, and I attributed the scale to success. And it wasn't success. The success was based on an appetite suppressant that I was taking. It was based off of this ridiculous low volume diet that I was trying to do, that I was unable to maintain or unable to keep doing. But yeah, I spent 7 years just kind of depressed about my weight, depressed about my diet, not understanding how I couldn't figure it out, or what I was doing wrong, or what I did wrong. And like I said, I think so many of us go through that, where we try some program, we try some plan, and we see success for a short time, and then either the success slows down, so we start trying to make more changes to keep that same level of success or keep the weight going. And then we put ourselves in a position where we're unable to succeed because of all of the restrictions we put on ourselves. And um, it's crazy, you know, just like I said, seeing these photos and thinking about that experience and how much I enjoyed the experience. I have some wonderful memories from being out there, the people that I met, and then kind of thinking, you know, a year later, I wouldn't have been able to do this trip. You know, the year before, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I had gotten myself in a position where I could do it. And then a year later, I wouldn't have been able to do it again, because I had let myself slide back to my old habits. And it's because I didn't create new sustainable habits. And that's that was a big motivator for me getting started on this challenge, was to get back to being this person. In fact, I knew that I wanted to get to being this person, and then I wanted to get even skinnier. I wanted to get even further, or get down to even a lighter weight, because I knew that at 285 pounds, I was in a much better, I was much lighter than when I started at 415, but I wasn't really a healthy person, like this picture of me here is just a less fat version of my 400-pound self. And the goal should be to get to an optimal health or an optimal weight. And so that's why I challenged myself to do this, to lose 300 pounds, to get down under 220 pounds, because to me, I never considered getting that low. Like 200 at this time that I'm looking at this picture, my goal when I started losing weight was to get to 285 pounds. I got on the scale, I weighed 284.9 pounds, and that was the last time I was under 285 pounds. And it was because I didn't set my goal. I didn't readjust my goal. I didn't change it. Like I met my goal. So I was done. I hit the finish line, and it was time to celebrate. And you got to get out of that mindset. It's, the scale is a great tool for measuring what your weight is, but the scale doesn't measure success. I would have said that I was a success then. At the time, I thought I was a success. I was giving myself, kudos. And if somebody would ask me for advice, I would be like, oh yeah, you just got to eat less food. It's all you got to do. You got to eat less. I wouldn't tell them that I was taking an appetite suppressant to help me eat less food, because in my mind, I thought I was just training my body to eat less, and the appetite suppressants were helping me to train my body to eat less. So once I quit taking the appetite suppressant, I would just be used to eating less, so I would continue to eat less. It doesn't work that way. I was using a chemical to suppress my hunger, and that chemical worked very effectively. But it wasn't a successful diet. It wasn't a success because I gained all the weight back, and then another 100 pounds on top of all the weight that I lost. And like I said, it's so defeating, and it kept me from even trying for 7 years. I didn't even try. I just gave up. And it's hard to face that. It's hard to accept that you failed. And looking back now, I have to realize that it wasn't me that failed. It was the process that failed. It was how I chose to lose the weight that failed. And when I look back at all of the times where I've lost any amount of weight, it was the process. It was the idea that all you have to do is eat less and move more, and you'll lose weight. And that doesn't work for me. I am somebody who eats a large volume of food. It's in my DNA. It's part of who I am to eat a large volume of food. And I think that is what is in so many people's DNA, that they are trying, or that they're trying to fight their natural instinct to eat a large volume of food. And you can fight that natural instinct for a while, on my own, without appetite suppressants. I think the longest I probably ever stuck to a diet was maybe 4 to 6 months. With the appetite suppressant, I was able to go to 9 to 10 months. But there's only so long you can go under eating. And I've said this 1,000 times, that it's under eating is the same as under sleeping. That if You need to have 7 hours of sleep to be rested, and you only get 3 hours a night. After a while, it's going to drain you. You might feel great the first couple weeks that you're like, oh man, I'm only sleeping for 3 hours and I'm still so productive. I don't know how this works. You don't even need to sleep for 7 hours. But then after 3 weeks or a month of doing that, it drags on you and it catches up to you. And under eating is the same way, is that you sit there and you feel great because you removed so much of the processed foods you were eating. That's part of why you feel great a lot of times on diets, is that you're eating less processed foods, so it helps you feel better. But over time, it catches up and your body says, hey, we can't keep eating half as much food as we're supposed to eat. We need to eat more food. Um, and I, for years, like I said, I blamed myself for these failures when in reality, it was the way in which I was trying to lose the weight that was the problem. Karen here says adventure. Yeah, that's kind of the word I was looking for, is a 4-day expedition, I think is probably the word I was looking for there. And then Matthew here says, John, I'm so proud of you. You'll never be that person again. You got this. We all do. Yes. Sorry for the coughing, guys. It's I can't help it today. I'll try not to cough into the mic next time though. Yeah, it's such a weird kind of position that I'm in now, where I realized that it wasn't me that was failing all of these years. It was these diets I was trying to do. It was these programs I was trying to do that were unsustainable. And now that I've found out about volume eating and calorie density, I realize that I can succeed, and I can see these goals. I can see 220 pounds. I could see myself getting down to 200 pounds. And it's crazy, that I spent all of those years just defeated and just depressed and unwilling to even consider doing anything about it. And even when I started this challenge, the start of this challenge, I was going to fast my way to a healthy weight. And I believe fasting is great, and it's awesome for resetting your system and getting away from your old habits. But I went into this challenge with the mindset of I was going to eat less and move more. And I quickly, once I found out about a plant-based diet, I thought to myself, I said I'd be willing to try anything. And so I might as well give this a try. And if it fails, then I can say I tried and it failed. And once I tried it and it succeeded, and then it continued to succeed. And then it got me to the point where I was beyond 10 months and beyond 14 months, that I was able to stay on this diet and to keep doing it. I realized that it wasn't me that was the problem. It was the diet that was the problem. It was this mentality that was the problem. And so we have this victimization that, that we are the problem and it's our fault. And in reality, it's these diets that are the problem. It's this mentality that we could eat in moderation. And again, like I said, if eating in moderation worked, we wouldn't have a population that is 75% of us are overweight or obese. It would be the opposite. If moderation worked, then we would be in a much better, then everybody would be skinny. And so it just kind of seeing that, like, it was kind of a whole series of things, like looking back at my original videos and kind of having that photo in the background and then seeing that photo pop up in my stream again and realizing that it was 9 years ago now that I had lost that weight. And then in my mind, I thought I failed. I thought it was me that failed. It was my fault that I didn't succeed. And in reality, I realize now that it was the diet that failed. It was the people telling me that this diet was the thing I needed to do. That it was the solution that was the failure. It wasn't me. The Shrinking Shadow says that they find when they undereat, they don't lose weight. And when they eat as much as I want, whole food, plant-based, they feel better and they lose weight. Yes, there's been many, many times that I have been on this challenge where I ate a large amount of food the day before a weigh-in and just thought, oh my God, I just totally tanked. I just ruined all of the progress that I was making. And then I got on the scale and it didn't affect me. And sometimes I lost weight um, and you feel better because you're getting to eat and it's not a struggle day to day fighting hunger and fighting these cravings, because cravings that you're having a lot of times are coming from hunger. And if you're not happy with the food you're eating, or if you're not allowing yourself to eat very much food, then it causes these cravings to be even greater, and it gives you don't have an alternative to eat that's healthy. Now if I get hungry, I eat. And it might be something as simple as grabbing a couple oranges or eating an apple or banana. When I first started, and really kind of I'm eating it now, some is Ezekiel bread and nut butter, just to fill my stomach up, to give me food, to avoid eating something that's not compliant. And I'd rather have something that's compliant and overeat than to undereat and then put myself in a position where I eat something that's off diet. And so, yeah, I mean, if you focus on volume eating and calorie density, it really it makes a huge difference in the success of a diet. And I wouldn't have believed it unless I've lived it. It was something that you hear all these diet programs say, eat whatever you want, eat, and still lose weight. And it's such a bad message to send people because it doesn't fix the diet. I eat as much as I want. I don't get to eat whatever I want, but I get to eat as much as I want, and I still get to lose weight. And I think that that's what our focus should be, because we all have a volume of food that satisfies us. And sorry, my phone kind of freaking out on me here. We all have a certain volume of food that's going to satisfy us. Our bodies don't have a calorie counting mechanism built into it. It has a volume measuring mechanism built into it. So if you're overweight like I am, like I am or was, or as overweight as I was, it's because you're satisfying, for those 7 years, I ate the volume of food that I wanted to eat, but the density of that food was 1,500 to 2,000 calories per pound. And when you're eating 5 pounds of food in a day, that's 10,000 calories. Now I eat 5 pounds of food, but it's only 500 calories per pound. So then I'm eating 2,500 calories in a day. And it's a much different outcome. I get to eat the same volume, but I'm eating a fraction of the calories that I used to eat. And um and I didn't see that anywhere. I still don't see a whole lot of people talking this way. I see more now talking this way because I'm in that world. Carrie's checking in saying hi. Hi, Carrie. Hope you're doing great. Um, just the other day, Dylan from Well Your World did a video on calorie density, and he does one every so often. I think it's great uh, that he's out there pushing that message, but more people need to hear it. More people need to understand what calorie density is and how it affects your health. It's something that it's so easy to throw it off as well. Like the food that is around us is so high in calories that if you don't work towards, you have to work at avoiding high calorie dense foods now. We didn't evolve in a world where we had food that was 1,500 calories per pound around us. And so it's tough. Here, Matthew says calorie density is the biggest game changer. Yeah. And I, yeah, it's something that I don't understand why it hasn't become more popular. And maybe I'm not looking at the right circles or I'm not looking at the right things, but outside of Chef AJ and Dylan from Well Your World, I don't, I guess there's other people like Broccoli Mom and other people that talk about it, but it's not pushed enough. It's not out there enough. It's not explained well enough. I don't know what it is. And well, I do know some of what it is, and I talked about this a lot the other day, is a lot of it's capitalism. It's the fact that low calorie dense foods don't have any profit margin in them. You can't make a profit on low calorie density foods because low calorie density is just the whole natural food. It isn't until you remove the water and remove the fiber from the food that you start to see high calorie density. And then that removal of the water and removing of the fiber and all these other things, the condensing of the foods, that's how companies build in profit. And so there's no incentive for companies to provide us lower calorie dense foods. They are all about offering us lower calorie foods, but they do that by playing with serving sizes and creating these granola bars and things like that that are, they don't weigh anything. Like I remember when I was doing Weight Watchers and they had like the Weight Watchers products that you could go and buy, and you get this 100-calorie pack of chips or whatever they had, and it would be in a foil bag that you would open up, and it would just be like just like 5 chips in the bottom of the bag, but it's only 100 calories. And you'd eat the bag and you'd be left feeling so unsatisfied. And you probably, many times, I think I'd be feeling left even hungrier than when I started. And so then you would buy this package that had 5 of these bags in it or 7 of these bags in it. And then you would eat all 7 bags in one day, because if you weighed all of that food together, it weighed like a quarter or a half of a pound. And so then you're not getting any volume. And that's what we need. We need the volume. And you're spending $10 on a box that has 7 individually wrapped snacks in it, that you're eating all 7 snacks in one sitting or in one day. And then you turn around and you can't figure out why you're not losing weight. And it's because you're eating so much highly processed foods. Um, and it's so tough because we're surrounded by it. It's everywhere. Um, and it's constantly marketed to us. Um, Trying to think what else to talk about with it. It's been, um, it's, I'm just like I showed those photos earlier, and I just thinking of how frustrated I was for those 7 years, and then how frustrated I am now that I didn't know this 7 years ago. And I continued to push it down the road, and not do anything about it. Thinking too that, you know, I I could, you know, I think so a lot of us do it is I also kind of was like, well, I was able to lose that 100 pounds. I could just do it again. And I'm in no hurry to just do it again. And because I think of how difficult it was, like the appetite suppressants I took made it easier, but it was such a awful diet. Like there was nothing healthy about the foods that I was eating. It was all about just eating what was going to give me the most pleasure so that I could survive until the next meal. And so I ate highly processed foods. I mean, uh, yeah, no, at the time I wouldn't tell anybody what I was eating, like when I lost that weight in 2013 to 2014, I was taking appetite suppressant. My daily diet was eating I would go to the gas station. I wouldn't eat anything all day. And then on my way home, I would stop at a gas station. I would buy a small thing of Pringles. I'd buy a regular Kit Kat, and I'd eat that on my way home. And then when I got home, I would eat like a sausage, like a Polish sausage. And that was my diet. And at the time I was losing weight, I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was just eating everything I ate was as processed as it could possibly be. And that was not healthy. I thought I was healthy. I thought that at 285 pounds, I was the healthiest ever. And I wasn't the healthiest ever. I was nowhere near the healthiest because the food that I was eating was just awful and um and unsustainable. As soon as I quit taking the appetite suppressant, those Pringles, Kit Kats, and Polish sausages, they just weren't enough. I was back at it. Um and then shortly after I did that trip to Utah, me and Carrie went on a trip out to Vegas, and I can just remember that trip out to Vegas that we took was it was like a 3-day buffet binge that we just went to every restaurant that you were supposed to go to, and we spent so much money eating at all these restaurants. And it was such it was a great experience going out there and hanging out with Carrie and my friends, but it crushed my diet. It was just such a flip in how I was eating. I went from eating nearly nothing to eating anything I could get my hands on. And then I spent 7 years putting it off. And I just all of the things that I missed out on in those 7 years that I couldn't, I guess you don't know what you don't know. And so I don't know what I missed out on because I didn't do it. But going on that trip again, had I not gained all that weight back, maybe I would have gone back and done that trip 3 years later or 5 years later. Um, and but I didn't. I wasn't in a position to do that. I used to be very active with four-wheeling, and that was kind of, I think, within a year of that, I wasn't four-wheeling anymore. I wasn't going out and doing that because I didn't want to face those friends anymore, I think was probably some of it, because those friends had seen me go from 415 pounds down to 285 pounds. And I was ashamed to face them again because, um, because we had I didn't want to have to explain why I failed, and I couldn't explain why I failed because it wasn't me that failed. I was, it was the diet that failed. It was the process I was using that failed. And that's what I had to figure out. Carrie here says we also had twins. Yes, that also affected my four-wheeling, and my social life was having the bonus kid there, I suppose. And but at like I said, you don't know what you don't know, but like we had the twins and I gained all this weight back, and I, a big motivator for me to lose the weight was because our older kids were getting to that mobility age. They were 4 years old and, getting to the point where I wanted to be a good example and wanted to show them that, I could be healthy. Um, and then we had the twins as well now. And, I, there's hikes that I could have gone on. There's trips that I could have taken with my kids. There's, adventures we could have had that we didn't because I kept putting this off to a future version of myself. And I had to, I can't change the past, but I can change the future. And that's what this challenge is me changing my future, because on November 1st of 2020 or October 31st of 2020, right before I started this challenge, I looked forward and I did not see a great future ahead for me, which also meant there wasn't a great future ahead for Carrie or my kids. And I needed to worry about the future and quit dwelling on the past. And that's something that we all need to do. Whether you've never lost weight before or you've lost weight in the past and you've gained it all back, you have to forget the past. You have to let it go. And you have to start trying to find a new future path for yourself that is going to allow you to succeed. And that was the catalyst for this challenge, was to not continue to hold on to that resentment of myself because I failed, and to figure it out, to do what I had to do to figure it out. Because really it was either this works or I go and see a doctor and I do some sort of surgery to fix me. Again, it was because I thought I was broken. You are not broken. If you're overweight, you're not broken. It's the foods that you're eating. It's the mentality that's been driven into you over years that's broken. It's you are who you are, and you are supposed to be who you are. You're supposed to be the way you are. And it's the environment that we live in that's broken, like I'm trying to think of what I've said it in the past. Like I don't have an eating disorder. The food that I've been eating is disordered. It's not me that is the problem. It's the foods that I surround myself that has been the problem. And you have to change the food that you surround yourself with, because this food is not normal food. It's not natural food. It's not food that any one of my ancestors ate. Like, there's nothing that, prior to starting this challenge, there was nothing I ate in a day that somebody 3,000 years ago would have had access to. And that's what the problem is. It's our food environment. It's the standard American diet, but it's the standard American buffet table that's in front of us. I really like that idea of thinking about what I eat as a buffet, that all of the foods that you allow yourself to eat is what's on that buffet table in front of you. And your tendency is going to be towards going towards the highest calorie dense foods on that buffet table. But that means that you have to remove the super high calorie dense foods. You can't have the fast food on your buffet table. You can't have the candy and the soda on your buffet table. You have to remove those things, because when they were on your buffet table, or maybe you haven't started yet and they're on your buffet table now, you're going to go towards those items. You have to replace them. When I used to go to the Golden Corral buffet, they have different sections. They have the salad bar, then they have the pastas, and then they have the meats, and then they have the desserts. I would skip the salad bar. There was nothing on that salad bar that tempted me or that looked good to me, so I would skip it. And I would go to the macaroni and cheeses, and I'd go to the steaks and the meats that they had, and the bacon wrapped pork chops, and I would eat at those sections of the buffet, or I'd go to the dessert section of the buffet, but I never went to the salad bar section. If I had spent my whole life just on the salad bar, I never would have gotten to 520 pounds. It wouldn't have been possible. But because I discarded that part of it, like if there was the line was starting at the salad bar, I would cut up in front, to just skip it, because I didn't want to wait in line behind people that were filling their plate with lettuce and carrots and celery and things like that. Produce Not Pills here says that overindulging and overeating is the new normal, unfortunately. Well, I think that, again, it's overindulging. Yes. Overeating I think that's the problem, is that we however much food you eat in a day, that's your diet. That's what you're wanting to eat. It's not overeating that's the problem. It's overindulging. It's eating too much of the wrong foods. You can't overeat apples. You can't overeat oranges and bananas. You can't overeat potatoes. You can't overeat the low calorie dense foods, because even if I sat down and I ate all of my calories through, I'm trying to think of something that's I guess potatoes or rice, that I wouldn't be in a calorie surplus for the day. It's the overindulging. It's you can eat 5 pounds of potatoes and not be over in calories. But if you eat 5 pounds of potato chips, then you're going to be sitting there at 10,000 calories. That's the problem. And again, it's that food environment that we have around us. And so and there can be some of that overeating, but I think that it's overeating the wrong foods. I think that for me, I've had many days, and I talked about it earlier, that I thought that I overate. I ate too much of dinner. I had too much mega veggie chili the night before, and I thought I was going to gain weight, and then I didn't gain weight. If instead of it being mega veggie chili, if I'd ate that much volume of food and ice cream, then yeah, it would have been an issue. But um, and they talk about it in the Blue Zone documentary. They did talk about that there's that Okinawa has kind of a saying that is, eat until you're 80% full. And maybe that's the best thing to do. And also, I can also kind of accept the idea that we wouldn't have had access to unlimited foods in our environment. If our ancestry, we would have found potatoes or we would have found an apple tree, but there's a finite amount of food on those things. We wouldn't have had access to unlimited food. But because we do have access to unlimited food, we need to focus on calorie density even more, because if we do overeat on low calorie dense foods, it won't be near as detrimental as overeating a high calorie dense food. So, but at this point for me, it's really been, if I don't satisfy my hunger, that leads me towards the wrong foods. I need to satisfy my hunger with the proper foods so that I don't have a temptation or a craving towards a non-compliant food. And so that's, what has helped or has worked for me so far. So, but I really think that it's the foods that we have on our buffet table. It's the foods that we allow ourselves to eat. That, you may have on your buffet table, you may have avocado, or you may have nuts or nut butters on there. And if all of your diet is avocado and peanut butter toast, then you can overeat with that, and that can cause issues. But if you're eating spinach and kale and apples and bananas, I think that it's not going to be as big an issue. And the other thing that I have had kind of in my head is that I'm not going to feel guilty if I overeat on apples, because overeating on apples, overeating on brown rice isn't going to make me unhealthy. There's nothing about brown rice that is going to be detrimental to my cardiovascular system, to my digestive system, that the other foods I used to eat were. And so if overeating a whole food plant-based item keeps you from eating a candy bar or something, then I would much rather overeat on a whole food plant-based item. And also, when I talk about this too, is my diet is salt, oil, sugar free. And so, brown rice is just really pretty much brown rice, or like we had red lentil chili the other day that we mixed in with brown rice. And so the red lentils and the brown rice, there's nothing in that I would be worried about. And I've said it in the past too, that if I spent my entire life at 248.8 pounds from here until the end, if all I'm putting into my system is whole natural foods, I'm not going to feel guilty about being 248.8 pounds the rest of my life, because I know that the input that I'm putting in is healthy foods. It's the processed junk foods that you have to stop eating. You have to get rid of those foods in order to see the weight loss success, because those processed foods increase the calorie density and it causes issues. But I would not feel guilty overeating broccoli and potatoes, and I eat large volumes of broccoli and potatoes. So yeah. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to talk about. Like I said, that photo had popped up a couple times here in the last week, and I realized how much that was kind of the motivator for me. That was the hoodie there was my goal hoodie. Those pants are my goal pants. And I actually ruined those pants because they were too big. They were too long, and I ruined the bottom of them because I was walking on them. And so my goal clothing doesn't even fit. I'm not sure. I thought I saw the hoodie recently, but I don't know where I put it. It's something that I think I wore it a little bit last winter, and it fit great, and that was my goal. Or that was my goal outfit. Now I have new goals, and I have new things that I'm looking for. But just thinking about how long I put it off and how much I missed out on because I continued to put it off, and I never forced myself to start doing something. And then once I started doing this, this was not the road I anticipated going down when I started this on November 1st, 2020. I had much different ideas about what my diet was going to be and what the process here was going to be. And I'm so happy that I ended up finding out about the pleasure trap and started following the advice of the doctors to eating a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet. And I haven't been perfect on the diet, over the past 3 years, but I've been pretty good, and I've seen some great success. And I can confidently say that all of my success has been while I was compliant. I've never gone off diet and continued to lose weight. And so if I want to see that goal, if I want to succeed at reaching 220 pounds or 200 pounds or even 190, I'm going to have to do it by being compliant on a whole food, plant-based diet. And eventually I'll get there. And even if I don't get there, if I'm still compliant, I can't be upset with myself, because I'm giving myself the best possible way to succeed. I'm giving myself the best possible chance to succeed, is what I wanted to say. Yeah, I think that's about all I have for today. I really appreciate you guys following along, and all of the kind words, all of the support, all of the advice that you guys give me. It does help me on this process. I've been continuing to listen to the Blue Zone book, The Blue Zones of Happiness by Dan Buettner. I've been enjoying that book. I'm going to throw it on my ride home today and listen to it. Yeah, it's been fun so far. I'm excited to finish up these 40 days of the 3-year challenge, but it's really the rest of my life. It's the challenge to focus on my health and well-being for the rest of my life and not just a finite amount of time. You know, when I started this, I gave myself a deadline that, you know, in hindsight, I might not have, but I thought it was the right thing to do at the time. So, but thanks guys so much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you get subscribed to the channel. Click on that bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out as well. And if you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. And there's nobody that reaches their goals and looks back and wishes they would have waited. Everybody wishes they would have started sooner. And I haven't even reached my goals yet, but I absolutely wish I would have started sooner. I wish I would have started the day I saw that I was over 500 pounds. I'd be 6 months further along. I wish I would have started 9 years ago. I wish I would have kept going. I wish I would have restarted. I wish I would have got back into it. Because where would I be if I'd have done this 9 years ago? I mean, where am I going to be 9 years from now? And so get started now, guys. Don't wait. And I will talk to you guys on the next one.